Hello and welcome. This is Crystal from Crystal Clear Coaching, helping you tune into you. So today I want to talk about an NLP, Neuro-Lingistics Programming, mindset tool called timeline therapy. So timeline therapy is a visualization process that helps you go back into certain memories of your past that if you have created a meaning behind, that you have then, your very smart subconscious has then gathered information over the years between then, that first instance, and now, that has had you just reinforce that belief to the nth degree. But we want to do this with something that this mindset is no longer serving you in. So maybe it would have served you perfectly in the moment and whatever use it was. And really, your subconscious is coding things purely for you to stay in love and belonging with those around you, which you need, and it's usually between the ages of 3 to 7. And we need to be looked after in those ages. We're too young to fully look after ourselves. So we need to stay in love and belonging in order to survive. So really, it all comes down to survival. But staying in love and belonging with those around you helps you survive. So whatever we coded as a memory that is the way we reacted to a situation that served us or didn't serve us in that moment, we then keep finding, your brain will delete and distort and just scan any situation for, like, does this remind me of that time, or this feels similar to that time we did this and then we had to do this in order to survive, because we survived that time with however we reacted, even if we screamed our lungs out and it actually wasn't a very healthy way to respond. We survived, so win, tick. And your brain's just deleting and distorting and generalizing this all down. And it's so great because you're still here. You did survive. Like, win, yay. But these younger visions of yourself live frozen in that moment. And then all the moments that felt triggered by that triggered that same feeling are then added to that, and it, like, over time, all these different memories get hyper-stabilized. Like, I mean, I'm using 10 fingers right now. Like, that's enough. But let's be honest, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of instances of your really core beliefs being hyper-stabilized. Just time after time, every time you're triggered to remind you of that first instance, or even the second instance, but like really it usually comes down to the first instance, even if it's just a felt feeling, not like that you necessarily fully remember the experience, you just remember how it made you feel and what you had to do in order to survive, like the vibe of what you had to show up in. Yeah. And so you'll keep showing up in that way unless you can consciously train yourself to take a separate action and prove to your system, to your subconscious, that you can still survive and stay in love and belonging whilst doing something differently. And this is a huge part that blocks us from getting what we want, because it doesn't feel safe to our systems. Like, it has to feel safe to our systems in order to have us continually step forward in a certain path. And we are wired purely for safety and survival at the end of the day. So if something doesn't feel safe, even if it, like, on paper seems like a completely safe thing, we will continue to self-sabotage because we get triggered and we feel like it's unsurvivable. I hope this is resonating. Like, this is such a powerful tool. I just got chatting with a colleague today about how powerful this tool is, and I just realized how many people don't know about it. And like, it's very hard to explain exactly what I do because I'm trained so deeply in so many things that I confuse people by just trying to explain it. But I thought, what's a great platform to delve into and explain these things a little bit better? My YouTube channel. So I'm going to try and do a few more videos like this for different aspects of what I'm trained in. And if you ever are wanting to go through these processes yourself, please reach out. I'm best reached on Instagram via DMs, either at Crystal Tottenham, that's Crystal Crystel, Tottenham for Mary, and then or at Crystal Clear Coaching, again with the Crystal EL at the end, Clear CLEARCOACHING, yeah, on Instagram. DMs are great for me because I will probably just voice note you back or text you back depending on how involved the discussion is. Emails tend to freeze me, so there's a trigger there for me that I need to look into. But anyway, I receive DMs better is my point. So with timeline therapy, like, what could you actually shift for yourself that's been holding you back? What self-sabotage patterns continue to show up for you that really aren't serving you and what you want in your life in this adult capable body that you have now? Like, how many years have passed since that first instance? Like, a lot of the time, like, I mean, I'm 30, I just turned 37. So if I did something at 7 years old and then I started making a belief about how I have to show up at 7 years old, that would have been 30 years ago. 30 years I've been running this pattern, and I've been finding evidence to support this belief in order to build it and create a really strong belief. And then I'll be so, like, it's a lot to let go of, to each time I step into the unsurvivable path. It's a lot. But with timeline therapy, what's the beauty of it is that we can just visualize going back through, and we can go back to the initial incidents. We'll go through if they need to come up with other incidents that's happened along the journey, but we can go back and see what occurred in that moment, but also we can invite in that future version of ourselves, or even just the current version, that consciously understands they're more capable and can do things in a different way. And then we get to, like, integrate that. And it's all in your mind. And, like, honestly, even if you're not remembering the facts of what happened to you, it doesn't matter, because it's just whatever what's sitting in your field, what's sitting in your body, in your mind, like, that's all that matters. If you can, like, overcome that feeling that triggers you into self-sabotaging, then you can let that go. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't take conscious work in each given moment. When you feel triggered, I want you to learn to notice that. I feel triggered. Okay, so usually I'd go do XYZ as a triggered person to hyperstabilize and keep running this belief. Or what if I now consciously noticing that I'm triggered, take a moment, take a deep breath in, and exhale. This is important. Exhale longer than you inhale. That just lets your body know that you are not in danger. Like, there's not a lion chasing after you. So you're able to pause enough to take an exhale longer than your inhale. That's how simple it is and powerful. In this day and age, it's the perception of pressure and urgency. But in our minds, we're running from a predator. And if we exhale longer than we inhale, then we must be safe from that predator, or at least perceive ourselves as safe. So that means our nervous system can start regulating ourselves again, and we can feel safety in that moment. Fascinating stuff. I love all this work. I love it. So yeah, just noticing you're triggered, taking that deep breath, exhaling longer than you inhale, ideally a few times. My coach calls it 3 magic breaths. Just it, like, the breath is like life. Without breath, we don't have life. So it is, if it's the one key thing that you remember from any of my coaching stuff, is just exhaling longer than you inhale when you're triggered. Like, that is one of the best tools to help you choose differently and choose consciously as to where you actually want to be going in your life. So, with timeline therapy is we can go back to that first instance, and we can like see what was going on there, fleshed it out a little bit, and then we can either choose to have it still there, and keep keep the lessons that we've got from this, but also consciously then like have it have the capability to choose differently, should I say? Or we can essentially clear the timeline of that perception, because this part of us is just frozen in time, and it's like just living in our brains. It's like it doesn't matter what actually happened physically in the past, as long as we shift what's in our energetics, our mind, our body about it. So it's so powerful. And we can even then go back to before this incident happened, and we can then just sit back into our system, and we're no longer holding on to the energy in our bodies and our emotional system that has been causing this sense of lack of safety, and thus then self-sabotage throughout our lives. It's like incredible. And then we can also invite and see that like a future or present version of ourselves is way more capable. We've lived life since then. Like, we've learned lots since then. We're not that 7-year-old version of ourselves that needed an adult to look after us to survive. So we can then invite the parts of us that like are empowered and strong and capable, and we can get them to take the hand of our younger self and just say, hey honey, I am here to help. We've learned a lot. We love that you have done such a brilliant job of helping us survive to this point, because here we are, still alive. You nailed it. But would it be okay if I took over from here? And usually this younger version of yourself will be like, yeah, man, I want to just go play, man. I'll just go play. And so, they have a big hug, and this strong, capable part of you gets to take over. And I will say, like, obviously, each time you get triggered after doing a session like this, timeline therapy, you're going to now hopefully consciously notice that, oh, I'm triggered by that thing again, but we did this work on it, and actually, like, I can act differently. And so it's just like consciously noticing that, and to the point that you're taking action in a different way, and it'll be scary to your system at first, but eventually the more action you take in your day-to-day life after your sessions that is consciously acting in a different way, that's going through over dissolving your blocks, the more you train your system to understand that's completely safe. And the more you do it, eventually those actions might become, hopefully will become unconsciously competent. So by unconsciously competent, I mean like you'll be triggered, and you'll be, like right now you might be unconsciously incompetent at moving towards taking the actions you need to take where your blocks are in the way. And now that I've got you thinking about it, doing a timeline therapy session, you might notice that you're feeling consciously incompetent of how you can move forward in this aspect. And so, there's work to be done, and like a timeline therapy session would be perfect for this. And then once you've done the session, you could see, okay, now I am working towards taking those actions that usually I would feel blocked by. And I'm dissolving those blocks. And it's taking conscious effort each time. So I'm consciously taking those actions and thus becoming consciously competent. Yeah, so you can see, so there's 4 stages. And then you come into unconsciously competent eventually, because your system gets used to taking those actions that you used to be blocked from. So I'll just go through that again because it's a lot. So you start off as unconsciously incompetent. So you don't know what you're doing. You don't realize you don't know what you're doing. You don't know that you don't know. And then there's consciously incompetent. So you know you're not doing it well, but you're conscious of it. And then consciously competent means you're doing it right, you're doing it better, you're doing it well, but you're very conscious and have to use your conscious brain in order to take the moves. And, it might be a bit slower. And then eventually get to the bliss point of you just do it on autopilot. You take the good action and there's no blocks there anymore. And that's what we want. Unconsciously competent. So timeline therapy is brilliant. So the way I've been trained is integrated all with somatic therapy, and so that soma means the body, and that's like our emotional body, our physical body, what is trapped in our body that might have been there for years, decades, and we can actually just, if we feel into it and find the safety within our body and find what doesn't feel safe in our body, we can release things that we've been holding on to for so long. And somatic therapy is like magic, because it can be just such a felt feeling that's holding us back, that we're not willing to look at, or we haven't been willing to look at. And you can just dissolve it. I won't go too far into my process. But the way I'm trained is these are all separate tools that I'm talking about. Timeline therapy is one with the mind, and somatic therapy is another, and there is breath work and everything else. I'm trained in all these things, so you don't need to know that I'm doing it, but I will take from all these different things and I'll feel out in our sessions, where do you need to go? And I won't, I might discuss it with you, but I probably won't. I'll probably just jump into where I intuitively feel you need to go. And so you can release so much in a session with me, because I have done years of study to really integrate, to become unconsciously competent at where someone needs to go, what they need to let go of. I'm obsessed with this stuff, so I get nerdy about it, and I want you to uncover your blocks, and I want you to step forward into the life you desire and you dream of. And honestly, timeline therapy, I think, is always going to be something I include in my packages, my coaching packages. So I tend to do coaching packages of 5 or more, because there's just so much. There's so much in our energetic systems, our whole body, our mind, that we've got a whole lifetime full of stuff that we've done to ourselves, good and bad. And the more we delve into it and understand ourselves, and then learn to release what's holding us back, the more we can clear the path for what is most important to us, and live the life that we desire. Yeah, and like, I love this. I love this. Yeah, timeline therapy. I will stop waxing poetic for now. But and also, like, I just want to caveat, if anyone, like, some people might find this really woo woo when I say this, but it actually isn't. From all the things that I've trained in, like, I understand how it actually happens, and and yeah, if you can just trust that, and you also don't have to think this far back into it if this doesn't resonate with you. But sometimes it's a past life that's holding you back. It's not even something that's happened. So timeline therapy can go into that too. Sometimes it's not even your stuff, it's in your family lineage. So, like, you're actually your maternal line, well, your grandmother would have had part of you in her within your mother that wasn't in her, if that makes sense. This is science. Like, I'm not explaining this very well, but the point is, like, we can take on the emotions and the energies and things that were going on for our mothers, our grandmothers, and then they've potentially taken it on from their mothers and their grandmothers. So it can go back ancestrally, and it's just fascinating to think. And I mean, same with, like, it can come from the fathers and the grandfathers, of course. So, like, sometimes there's things we're holding on to that aren't even ours. And so, like, yes, it needs to be cleared, because otherwise we're just going to keep passing them down the family line if we continue to have family, for instance, if you have kids, for instance. Yeah. But yeah, what if you just release that? Just imagine what that might do for future generations. And this is, like, something I urge everyone to go and look up on the internet. Just look up like a few hundred years worth of ancestors, essentially, and just look up an infographic of that. It is fascinating. So I recently did this for back into, like, the 1500s, early 1500s. It's about I mean, obviously it's different for every family and exactly how many people were born into it and all that, and then spread out. But the family tree, like, just for, like, 400 or 500 years, goes back to about 32,000 ancestors. And that's just that time frame. Think of human history. So imagine all those people needing to meet and co-create life in order to even have you here. Such a miracle. But also, like, a life. Think how much life happened to 32,000 plus ancestors, and, like, how much could easily be held in your system that's not even yours. So yeah, that's me, like, kind of now dipping my toe talking about family systems work. So I'm also trained in that. I'm an overachiever, what can I say? Well, actually, my coach is an overachiever, and I just did a program. Anyway, I love it. But yeah, family systems also fantastic. We look at the whole thing. That's why I'm all about holistic coaching. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because I've digressed as per usual. But timeline therapy is brilliant, and I want to share this tool more, and I want to share all my tools, to be honest. But yeah, I think sharing about, like, what my processes actually can do for people and how they work helps us understand, like, what does working with me even look like? What does, how does that even work? And, like, it helps you discern, like, oh, do I need that? Like, or maybe, do I want that? It doesn't need to be a need, it can be a want. You can go your whole life without doing it, but I guarantee you'll amplify your life if you choose to do this kind of work. It's so powerful. Okay, we'll leave it there today. And much love to you. Have a good day.